All right, welcome back to another After Dark, everyone. Hope you all having a good night so far. Hope you guys had a wonderful day. So I, as promised, I picked a video from about the middle of the pack of the members' requests, and we got this one right here from Basketball Matters. This is titled "Why NBA Scorers Can't Score in Europe," and I am really intrigued by this one. So I'm glad I went back for this because this first caught my attention. This was maybe, like 4 years ago, 3 years ago? I remember the exact thing, and it was Luka sitting down on JJ Redick's podcast. I think it was called The Old Man and the Three, I think, back then. And Luka straight up answered the question honestly, and it was like, the NBA is more easy, to score. And I think he also said it in a press conference. So he's not the only one. A lot of people have said it too, that it's way easier to score in the NBA than it is in EuroLeague. And I mean, come on, it's not a stretch because I've never seen a basketball league easier to score in than the current NBA. And I don't think any of you guys are really going to argue with me. Even if you are a fan of the current era, I think that's a clear thing that we can all agree on. It's actually a problem, and I hope it gets fixed. But yeah, everything I've seen from any other league, even when I was watching Canadian League a little bit there, no, man, it was way more intense than what I'm seeing in the NBA. So anyways, let's see what this is all about. Guys, I'm linking the original video down below in the description like I always do. There you'll see a list of channel members. Shout out to you guys. I appreciate y'all. If you could do me a favor and hit that like button, it helps out a ton. And let's get right to it.
If the NBA is the best basketball league in the world, then why do some NBA scorers struggle so badly when they come to Europe? The number 1 pick in 2013, the number 4 pick in 2010, the 3rd pick in 2008, and the number 7 pick in 2015 have all played in the EuroLeague, and none of them have managed to shine for their respective teams. So what happens? Why do players who were elite prospects in the NBA suddenly look uncomfortable in Europe? It's a tricky topic with a lot of layers, so stay with me until the end as I break down every reason behind it.
It's so ass backwards from what it used to be. It used to be you can dominate in Europe, and then you come to the NBA and you get humbled, man. You get humbled fast. And then there are those couple who still dominate, but no matter what, they're not dominating like they did in EuroLeague. Now we have the exact opposite situation. They're kicking ass in the NBA, and then they go to EuroLeague, and then oops.
Many fans have is simple.
Wow.
Well, those guys couldn't get NBA contracts anymore. But that explanation doesn't really hold up most of the time. Yeah, we had the likes of often injured Kemba Walker or Ron Baker joining different European powerhouses, but that's just a couple of guys among multiple others. Besides those two guys that I just mentioned, most of the players arrived in their peak physical shape. They weren't some 37-year-old veterans trying to squeeze out one final season or enjoy the attention in Athens.
I didn't know Amari played Euro.
Or the sunshine in Monaco. In fact, many of them still had the athletic tools most European players can only dream of, which makes their struggles even more confusing. When these former NBA lottery picks and other scorers arrive in Europe, they usually bring something that stands out immediately: elite physical tools. Wesley Johnson was an incredible athlete. Anthony Bennett had a powerful NBA-ready body. Kenneth Faried played with relentless energy and motor. Emmanuel Mudiay had elite size and strength for a point guard, while Ty Lawson was short but incredibly fast. Jimmer Fredette always had the ability to shoot like only few others in the world. On paper, these advantages should translate to the European game, but in reality, we rarely see it happen. Why? The biggest answer lies in how the two leagues value players. In the NBA, it's often enough to be exceptional at one or two things. If you can create
and for those of you guys who watched that Tristan Jass workout with the Bulls, we see their focus is all on offense.
consistently, you are interesting enough to get a run in the NBA. If you can shoot at an elite level, you'll probably find a team. If you can defend the multiple positions and shoot, that's even better. You'll find your role and the situation that suits you the best. Everything in the NBA is, as the saying goes, you have to stand out to stay on the floor. But the downside is that players can sometimes hide their weaknesses because the NBA game allows them to do so.
Absolutely.
They repeatedly lean on their strengths and avoid situations where their flaws are exposed. EuroLeague basketball doesn't allow that nearly as easily. Several structural differences make life harder for those NBA players who come to Europe. Here we have smaller courts and a shorter three-point line, which means a reduced space for scoring-oriented players. If for Jimmer Fredette that wasn't a problem, for example Emmanuel Mudiay and Ty Lawson had huge adjustment issues because of this. On top of that, the EuroLeague has a different set of defensive rules, a lot more planning and scouting before each game. All of that makes the game tighter, slower, and more tactical on a daily basis. The smaller court means driving gaps are not as big as in the NBA, leaving barely any spaces to attack in one-on-one purely.
Nice.
In the NBA, you have a real chance to blow by your defender and get to the paint, even though the defenders are faster and more athletic.
Yeah,
I
always call it like the modern game in the NBA. It's one line of defense. Now you blow by your guy, more than likely you got a clear path to the basket. Unless you're playing San Antonio and maybe OKC, then you might have two lines of defense. But while we were used to the NBA in like the 90s and the 2000s and the 80s, really, where it was like three lines of defense, basically as a minimum. You see Jordan get into the basket, he's got to blow by his guy, split two other guys, and jump over to center and dunk on him, and then you get 2 points. It's that difficult. Now, 90% of the time, like I get excited when I see like Ant-Man, break to the middle and do a fancy dunk. But it also takes a lot of the luster out because all he had to do was quick first step, blow by his guy, and then no one was waiting for him at the rim. It takes a little bit of that excitement out of it because it's not as earned,
of an ironic thing, but just the spacing allows you to do so. Here in Europe, you'll see multiple gap defenders sitting in driving lanes. Shorter court allows them the possibility to do so without getting punished often. They can stunt and recover way easier than in the NBA. In the NBA, a long stunt usually means an open catch-and-shoot three-pointer for the offense, which is usually the exact shot they want to take in the possession. On top, the no defensive 3-second rule means blowing past your defender and scoring an easy layup is almost impossible.
I like it.
But if you manage to avoid the gap helps in Europe somehow, most likely the big guy is camping in the paint or a weak side defender is under the basket ready to help.
I want to see it again. Right now I'm down with getting rid of the, just let a guy camp out in the middle as long as they want. And we do that until the game switches a little bit. You know what I mean? But we can't be having wide open baskets anymore. It's at least for me, it drives me nuts. So I would like to see that until like the pendulum swings, and then we can reinitiate that rule.
All differences, a smaller court, a shorter three-point line, and a no defensive 3-second rule add up to why scoring is a little bit harder in Europe. Also, the European and American kids grow up in a completely different basketball environments because of the rules and because of the contrast of lifestyles. Even the late great Kobe Bryant talked about this back in 2015. He once said the European players are overall more skilled because of how they learn the game from a young age. And he was also brutally honest about the AAU basketball in the United States, saying that too many players focus on flashy moves instead of basic fundamentals.
Yeah.
Harsh words, but they highlight a real difference in development systems.
Yeah, and he said these things before it became just brutally apparent. Like right now, it's like right in front of our faces. We can't see anything otherwise. But back then, Kobe had the foresight to see it ahead of time that this is going to be a problem. And here we are years later. It's a massive problem.
Remember how I mentioned that the NBA players are usually exceptionally good at one or two things?
Yeah, shooting.
That might be a strength in the NBA, but can become a weakness that becomes especially obvious in Europe.
Yeah, because if all you do is shoot threes in the NBA, well, if the EuroLeague defense is going to take that away from you, now what do? Your only other option is to penetrate. But you never practice mid-range, so you can't stop short and take a midi. You can't post up. So your only other alternative other than shooting the three is to go all the way to the rack. But if you got a big man waiting to block the hell out of you, now what do? How do you score in EuroLeague when you've been trained your whole life to just shoot the three? Shoot the three. If not, penetrate. You're wide open. Forget the whole mid-range. This is the way they're taught. And this is why I'm so against the way the modern NBA is being played.
Example, shooting. Spacing is extremely important in EuroLeague offenses because of a smaller court. If a player isn't a reliable perimeter threat, defenses quickly adjust. And that's exactly what happened to a couple of former NBA lottery picks here. Take Emmanuel Mudiay. When he joined Žalgiris Kaunas, he was expected to be a primary offensive creator, but defenses quickly started going under screens in pick-and-roll situations, daring him to shoot and limiting his creation. The result? Just 26% from free and an offense that struggled to generate efficient looks.
Yikes.
Now let's look at Wesley Johnson. Since he wasn't handling the ball much, defenders simply packed the paint and ignored him on the perimeter.
Oh man, that's hilarious. They're just daring everyone to shoot.
Worked. Johnson finished his EuroLeague stint shooting just 23% from deep. Without multi-dimensional offensive skills, both players struggled badly, and their EuroLeague careers ended quickly. One guy played 28 games and the other just 5.
I wonder though, like, were they just living and dying at the three-point line, or were they actually trying to get into the mid-range and to the paint?
Also a major stylistic adjustment. According to Kenneth Farid, EuroLeague basketball is more physical, more demanding in terms of running, and less forgiving when it comes to foul calls. If you arrive out of shape or expect the same whistle you got in the NBA, the adjustment can be rough.
Dude, can you imagine LeBron, Luka, like these guys playing one game in the EuroLeague now? What's ironic is throwing Luka in there, and Luka came from EuroLeague, so now he's just been... Man, the NBA has corrupted his ass so much, but like, you know, he used to not get these calls. Now he's just used to all these calls. But so, all right, let's disregard Luka. Can you imagine LeBron freaking James being, you know, playing the game in EuroLeague? How much he'd be complaining and how many he'd be thrown out of the game. Actually, it would be actually really hilarious because he'd complain, charge the refs, they'd give him a technical, do it again, you're out.
Suddenly, relying only on NBA level of athleticism becomes much harder. Another huge difference is the importance of every possession. In the NBA, the regular season is 82 games. That's way more than in Europe. The games on top are 48 minutes. In the EuroLeague, every game feels closer to an NBA playoff level atmosphere. That means shot selection offensively and mistakes defensively are punished immediately. You give up an easy shot, take a wild shot on offense, you might be sitting on the bench very soon.
And that's how it used to be in the NBA and throughout all the leagues in America before. When I was growing up, this is how it was. You know, if you were a center and you took a three in a game that is like a close game, you're out. Even if you made the three, you're probably sitting your ass on the bench because that's not your job. You're not supposed to be doing that. You get blown by, you're getting killed, you know, on defense. You're going to sit your ass on the bench too.
That's one reason why first-year EuroLeague players coming from the NBA rarely average more than 20 minutes. Coaches demand consistent defensive concentration and elite shot selection because the count of possessions are significantly lower. In Europe, the natural pace nowadays is around 70 to 75, while in the NBA it is around 100. That's 25 or 30% less chances for everyone, making every shot extremely important. For former high school and college stars and NBA
and that's why EuroLeague is rising and the NBA is falling. What happens when you water down the points? And it means they don't matter as much, you know, just like the value of our dollar these days. It doesn't, you know, having $1,000 today versus having $1,000 20 years ago is not the same thing. It means so little now compared to what it used to. And the same thing with points. As you score 30 points now, big freaking deal. You know, like who cares? But 30 points in the 90s? Holy crap, that's a lot of points in the 90s.
That can be a tough mental shift, just as playing only 10 or 15 minutes a night. We have seen another problem with several scoring guards coming over in the last years. Players like Carson Edwards or Kendrick Nunn are exploding offensively, but the opponents also attack them on defense. Even someone like Jimmer Fredette, during his time with Panathinaikos, had nights where his scoring was incredible, but defensive issues limited his overall role. Yes, I know, over time players improve, but patience is not something the EuroLeague organizations are really known of. With fewer games and huge pressure to win in each season, teams often make quick decisions. Some players get time to adapt, others don't, and get cut pretty quickly. There are also a handful of good examples from players who came over from the NBA and started to dominate. And they all have one one thing in common. It's an archetype that is going extinct in the NBA in the last 5 to 10 years. Super small ball handlers. The likes of Mike James, Shane Larkin, Kendrick Nunn, Jared Butler. These are all European stars at the moment that couldn't fit in today's NBA. For NBA teams, it was a simple choice. They're not tall enough or not good enough to play defense, especially in the playoffs. Also, not tall enough or not talented enough to be primary or secondary ball handlers. But for EuroLeague teams, they are perfect. They have learned quickly how to play in small spaces. They all can shoot from deep after the dribble, and they all can create for their teammates at a high level. Their I can do it all offense have been an elite weapon for premier EuroLeague teams. So when an NBA scorer comes to Europe, it's rarely about just one thing. It is a combination of different rules, different spacing, tactical defenses, and higher defensive expectations. All of those factors can expose weaknesses that were easier to hide in the NBA. But what do you think? Why do some NBA scorers fail in Europe while others thrive? Let me know in the comment section down below. Don't forget to drop a like and subscribe to our channel if you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and
I think he nailed it. I went ahead and subscribed to this channel. It's the first video I've seen from Basketball Matters here. I think he nailed it. It's exactly what's going on. And you flip it, it's the exact reason why Europeans are coming here in the NBA and dominating offensively. You know, they're scoring at absolute will. And it's also the reason why they're like all the MVP candidates are all European right now. It all adds up. It all makes sense because you come from, which is why, you know, the argument of, oh, these old basketball players from the 80s and the 90s, they couldn't hoop in the modern game. It's so ass backwards to me. No, it's because they grew up and learned how to play in a much more difficult setting. Of course they can adjust to the easier style of basketball. The only challenge would be them not getting in foul trouble, because now you can't even look at a guy wrong without getting fouls. But on the flip side of that, they'll be scoring points at will because it's so damn easy on the offensive end. So to me, that was always just an ass backwards take that so many have, that, oh yeah, well, they couldn't learn how to shoot the 3-ball. How hard is it to shoot the 3-ball? Everybody could back then. They were just told not to. So now you have the green light to shoot the 3-ball. How difficult is it to learn how to shoot that shot when you're an NBA professional? Like, it's so stupid, you guys. But yeah, it's looking like unless we change anything here, and that's why, you know, I'm such an advocate for this, because I want us to change our ways here, and I see us getting worse and worse and worse. Well, we need to swing this pendulum to the other direction and start favoring defense a little bit. Start throwing defense a bone once in a while, and change some rules to actually allow these guys to play some defense. Because if we don't, it's only a matter of time before it's a full takeover. It already looks like a full takeover, but we're still winning in the Olympics by a hair. Now, the second that I would like to avoid us losing in the Olympics before we have this conversation, but it looks like we're stubborn. The only way we're going to have this talk about, oh, you know, we're not the Kings anymore, now what do, is after we lose and we're embarrassed. So that's unfortunate. But yeah, anybody coming in from Europe, that was part of a structured system out there, man, you're going to come here and dominate our asses, it seems. And you know, I don't feel bad for us. We're doing this to ourselves. We're shooting ourselves in our own foot, you know, so it is what it is. Europe is going to keep growing and expanding while we're going to get worse, it seems. And it is what it is. Nothing much I can do about it except for try to get it out into the open, have more people talk about it. I mean, it's not like the commissioner doesn't know what's going on. He has to know. He hears everybody talking. You know, because it's not just us. You have all the old professionals talking about it. You have people coming from EuroLeague to play here, dominating and saying, yeah, it's way too easy to score here. He knows what the problem is. It's just a matter of, will he ever decide to fix it? I guess time will tell. I hope he does, but I'm not banking on it. Anyways, you guys, I'm out of here. Thank you for watching. I'd love to hear your guys' opinion on this topic as well. And yeah, like the vid on the way out if you could. Subscribe if you want more content like this. And most importantly, it's the be water, my friends. Peace out, everyone.